I'm Richard Barid with Smith Barid LLC. I'm an estate planning attorney and one half of the Estate Planning Guys. In this video, I want to talk to you about the top 5 mistakes people make with powers of attorney. So at a basic level, I think you probably understand, but a power of attorney is a document you execute in order to extend the power you have over your own financial life to another person so that they can help you if you just want help or if you're incapacitated and can't do your own personal finances yourself. The number one problem people have with powers of attorney generally is just failing to have one. The latest statistics I'm aware of say that only about a third of Americans currently have a active and up-to-date estate plan. And that's a problem for many reasons. And a lot of folks come to see us and say, oh, I just need a will. And they may well need a will or a trust or both, but they also need a power of attorney. And they're hardly ever thinking of that, often until it's too late, when someone's already incapacitated. So the number one problem with a power of attorney is an easy one to fix. Go see a knowledgeable estate planning attorney and let's get you a power of attorney in place in case anything happens and you were to become incapacitated, either temporarily or permanently, and needed that help. Remember, a will is great when you pass away. It'll help your family know what you want to do to carry out your final wishes, but a will has no impact until you pass away. So if we need to look out for incapacity planning, which everybody does because we just don't know what's coming, if you need that kind of support, you need a power of attorney to do that. A will doesn't do it. So number one, failing to have a power of attorney. Problem number 2, appointing the wrong person. You can imagine we see this a lot, and part of our jobs as estate planning attorneys is to help people to understand how a power of attorney works, but also help them make a good decision. A lot of people feel, well, I've got 3 kids, I ought to name them all as co-executors. Or even if there's only one kid, even if that kid is an adult, we automatically want to appoint the kid, which is not always the right choice. The way I tell clients to think about it is, it seems like it's an honor, but it's not an honor, it's a job. And like any job, you want the right person in that job because having the wrong person there can have disastrous effect. And I'm not just talking about cheating or stealing from you, but people who just aren't capable, can barely get together with paying their own bills and their own personal financial life. If that's the case, that person probably doesn't have a lot of bandwidth, so to speak, to be able to take care of your financial life for you and do what's in your best interest while you're incapacitated. So number 1, failing to have a power of attorney. Number 2, appointing the wrong person. Number 3 problem people tend to create for themselves with the power of attorney is appointing co-agents, especially an even number of co-agents. So the agent is the person you select under the power of attorney to help you with your personal finances and other things like that if you are incapacitated, either temporarily or permanently. And some people think, oh, well, the more the merrier, and the more likely it is jobs will get done that need to get done if you have more than one agent. But our experience is that that's not the case, that having multiple co-agents is, one, not necessarily the easy way to go about doing things. In most cases, that's going to mean that every check that's written has to be countersigned, every decision that's made, there has to be sort of a vote in order to do that. You want one person in charge at a time. And in fact, you'll find when you take a power of attorney to a bank, there are banks that strongly discourage or won't even work with a power of attorney that has multiple agents serving at once. One of the obvious problems you can probably see, and the reason I said an even number can be a real problem, is what if there's a tie? What if there's a decision to make that's important to you in your financial life, and you have co-agents, 2 of them because you have 2 kids, and they can't agree? Well, I'll tell you, it can get to the point where we have to hire attorneys and go to court to get a decision about what to do under a power of attorney. As you can imagine, that can be irritating at best and devastating for your financial life at worst if a decision really needs to be made. So number 1, failing to have a power of attorney. Number 2, appointing the wrong person. Number 3, naming co-agents. Number 4, your power of attorney is out of date. You have a power of attorney, but you look back at it and it was signed 25 years ago, before you had kids at all and your life situation was much different. You were working a different job, in a different career, or had barely any career at all at that point. If your power of attorney is out of date, it means it's not addressing things the way you want them addressed now. In addition to that, what I mean by out of date is that a power of attorney is a creature of state law. What I mean is that states have statutes on the books that say what a power of attorney ought to look like, and what an attorney has to have in it to be a valid power of attorney, including how it's executed with witnesses and notaries. By way of example, Georgia in 2017 changed its power of attorney statute. A lot of people don't know this, but before that, a power of attorney in Georgia was authorized but not enforceable. And what that means is it was a thing you could take advantage of, appointing a person as an agent under your power of attorney to help you. But if a bank or other financial institution didn't like that power of attorney for whatever reason, they could just say, nope, we're throwing it out. We're not going to work with that power of attorney. Well, the law changed in Georgia in 2017, and now if you use the right format and execute it with the right number of witnesses and notary, that power of attorney is enforceable. And that doesn't mean when someone's using a power of attorney that they want to sue Bank of America because Bank of America doesn't like their power of attorney. What it does in real life is create some leverage. If banks know, and they do by now, that a Georgia power of attorney is enforceable, they're less likely to say no just with no particular reason. So number one, failing to have a power of attorney. Number two, appointing the wrong person. Number three, naming co-agents. Number four, your power of attorney is out of date. And number five is one that you may not have thought of, but a big mistake people make often is having what we call a springing power of attorney. And what that means is the power of attorney is written up appropriately. The power that the agent is supposed to have is all outlined appropriately, but you opt to say, I don't want anyone to have power under this power of attorney. I don't want it to be actionable until and unless I'm incapacitated. And the reason that's a problem is if you become incapacitated and someone needs to take quick action for you with regard to your financial life or any of the financial parts of your life, they're not going to be able to just go ahead and do it. They're going to have to get in touch with a doctor, sometimes two, get that doctor to sit down and sign a statement saying that, yes, in fact, this person is incapable of handling their own affairs. And as you can imagine, if you're in the middle of an emergency, a crisis where all of a sudden a family member can't take care of themselves, you don't also want to be chasing around a doctor or more than one doctor to try to get the proper authority to get the power of attorney in force and effect. So number one, failing to have a power of attorney. Number two, appointing the wrong person. Number three, naming co-agents. Number four, your power of attorney is out of date. And number five, opting for a springing power of attorney that requires proof that you're incapacitated before anyone can take action on it. So those are the top 5 things, the top 5 reasons that people have a bad time with the power of attorney or it doesn't work the way they want it to. It's because they're doing one or more of these 5 things. I appreciate you spending the time with me here today. We'll see you next time at the Estate Planning Guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please click below to subscribe and hit the little bell so you'll get a notification every time we post some. Right now, we're posting about 3 videos a week with all kinds of useful estate planning information. So click right down here so you don't miss anything about estate planning, and click right here on your screen for the next relevant video.